House to Home, presented by RE/MAX Diamond Realty.
How healthy is your property, and how the heck would you know? Fortunately, there is a document that cites just that. It's a report that comes out periodically, and fortunately, we have Liz and Gina here from RE/MAX Diamond Realty Guam, and we are going to talk about reports and health of property. Health. This isn't just like a funny analogy, Liz. It actually does indicate the health of your property.
Your property, that's right. As Gina puts it, your health report for your property. Yes, title reports.
More so than a report card.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, title reports are critical because in a title report, if you've never requested for one, you should. Because come time down the road, whether you need to do a loan or whether you're interested in selling the property, you might discover some items in your title report that you never knew. So your title report normally reflects ownership, who owns it. It reflects any taxes that are due. It also reflects any encumbrances or liens on the property. So a number of examples. One, if a relative, an uncle, an aunt, put a lien on the property, or they went and got a loan and used the property as collateral. You may not have known about it. And Gina has some examples of some things that she's gone through with that. But in that report, it also talks about any easements through your property, if there's a road that goes through it, which is reflected in the title report. So there's a number of things that could show that you may not even be aware of.
How about like for little quirks, Gina, let's just say I sit on top of like a fault line or something like that, and there was an earthquake and the seismic plates, tectonically shifted as they're so wont to do and everything like that. Would that be reflected in like structural stuff?
Not so much structural stuff, but title issue stuff. This is more about your title issues. That's why we're calling it a health check for your title. It's a title report. So those things won't be shown on the title report, but anything recordable, anything the government attaches to the property will show. Any liens, and what I think is you want to run that title report not just if you're looking at selling, but more importantly too, what if you're looking at giving the property to your kids someday or passing it on down to another family member? Running this health report will show you if there's any items that have been attached to your property that you're not aware of. Or what if you're a group, a family group, and you just subdivided your property and now you want to make sure you each deed the property to each other. Before you do that, you should do your property health check, your title report, and find out, is there anything on this land that we aren't aware of? Was there any other family member? Because what I find often with parcels like that was a big parcel and then they subdivided, is sometimes other family members were attached to that basic lot and you didn't know about it because you were just focused on what your parents gave you, and you weren't aware that, well, your parents owned it with their siblings and then they cut it up, and so your cousin now has interest in the basic lot, but your cousin's property was a different piece. These things will come up in that health report.
I'm also fairly certain, ladies, at this point, because as I am your client, if I produce that report for you, it makes your job that much easier because you don't have to do like a lot of research with land management and everything like that. It's basically all lays out. It's a historical document.
It's a historical. It's dated also. So if you requested for a title report today, it may not necessarily be the same report that you'll get a year from now. So for example, if your report came out clean and there weren't any liens, who's to say that a year later a relative that use the property. I know it sounds strange, but it has happened where they will use the property and put a lien on it. They would apply for a loan, and if they didn't do the proper checks, it is possible that a lien may have been placed on that property and leveraged it unbeknownst to you.
May I ask a question? Because my parents, they redid their mortgage twice. over the course of their
Yeah.
home and everything. They did it once when my sister went off to college, so they needed some more money to send my sister off, and
Equity.
then they did it again, when they did like a big home improvement project and everything. Would those kind of things be reflected on the report, or is because liens and everything? I understand that's a big transaction with the bank, but these things are kind of just like refinancing
So
transactions.
if they refinanced and the bank would actually put a lien on the property to the value of the mortgage. So if they borrowed $200,000, it would be reflected on their title report because it'll show that the property owner owes $200,000. So sometimes if the title report is older, it'll show $200,000, even though that they may only owe maybe $100,000 at that time the title report was pulled. So each time you pull it, there could be a change in the title report.
All right. Well, before we go, Gina, the last question is probably the most obvious. In terms of frequency, how often should we have this title report be generated?
You know, it really depends on you as the owner and what you're planning on doing with the property. You could do it just one time to see what's going on with the property and make sure there aren't any surprises. And if there aren't, then you're good to go. But I would strongly recommend now, of course, it's not free of charge. There's 3 escrow companies here. You'd have to call all 3 to figure out what their fees are to do the title report. I think it's a really reasonable cost, but it's worth doing periodically. Whether your periodically is once a year or once every 5 years, it's up to you. And it really depends on what you believe is going on.
So basically, when you know how the composition of your property has changed over time and everything like that, just to stay current with that.
Just go check. It doesn't hurt.
Good information. Thank you so much again.
You're welcome.
Well,
Thank
you're both my favorite realtors. I always say that every week, but I mean it.
You mean it.
They're awesome and everything. Okay, title reports, very important. Go get yours, update it somewhat frequently and everything, and stay tuned because we are back right after this. From the entire cast and crew here at KUAM, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Closed captioning is brought to you by IT&E.